Well, it's Judgment Day. Judgment Day in Nigeria today. And whether they would like it said this way or not, all eyes are on the judiciary this morning. After 7 long months of waiting and praying, four of the candidates in this year's presidential election, one of them declared its winner by the election commission. We'll get to hear if the results of the February 25 votes are valid or not. The nation is merely hours away from the delivery of the verdict, but it comes against the backdrop of a red flag raised by elder statesman and former vice chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Bode George, who has pointed out the danger of judges determining the outcome of elections. In fact, he says, in light of the anomalies that took place during this year's election, the tribunal should simply order a rerun. Oh well, that's what the elder statesman has said, and we have joining us virtually, we have Chukwuma Okoro, a social commentator, and we also expect Great Imo to join in the conversation as well. Well, without wasting further time, good morning to you, Chukwuma.
Good morning.
Good morning, Moses.
Thank you for joining us today on the show. I totally understand that you have a lot of things to do, but hey, welcome to the program. Now, how do you sum up the election process right up to the moment we are facing right now? Let's sum it up again. I know we've gone through these, a lot of times, but today is the day that we have been waiting for, and Nigerians are waiting keenly too to hear the verdict.
The election process has come and is at the moment we have people who are contesting the declaration of someone as the president, and some of the arguments center on the qualification of the current president to have even contested the election. Others say on how the election umpire INEC conducted itself before, during, and after the election. And now that the case is in court, and Nigerians are expecting that judgment to be delivered today, the process has received so many knocks against the umpire, against the judiciary. The judiciary has been under serial attacks, both from within and from outside. Everybody is expecting justice from the court. And in a case where we have like 4 parties in a contest, everybody is expecting that the court will deliver judgment in its favor. And that is each party's definition of justice. It remains to be seen what will be justice at the end of the day. The process is not a radical departure from what we have had since 1999 up to this moment. At a point, President Yar'Adua even admitted that the process that produced him was flawed. That speaks to the institution that conducted the election, the credibility of the institution that conducted the election. And even after that, it is not as if that the process has been refined to the point that subsequent elections are judged to be free and fair. And in this particular election, even the international community came out strongly saying, look, we had a series of flaws across the nation. Everywhere we observed, everywhere we monitored, there were visible flaws. And even at the INEC level, the umpires level, they made statements before the elections. This is what we are going to do. And on the election day, they didn't do those things. We saw how the IREV portal has been a subject of controversy between litigants in court. The foreign monitors also said, look, this is what you said you will do. And people are even presenting results from the IREV back end.
But But we can't take away we can't ignore the fact that in as much as the election was flawed in some parts, there were, I mean, observers could not have observed, every part of the nation, all the polling units around the nation. Elections were, seamless in others. Don't you think so?
Yes, Moses, it's random. It's random. Political parties also deployed observers. Election monitors from the EU and from other parts of the world came. So it is random. There is no way of 30,000 polling units. 30,000 polling units will record the same level of irregularity. But when you take it randomly and you have a significant value, it begins to speak to the credibility of the election. If an election that you have 20 million or like 30,000 polling units, and in all of that, you have like 7,000 or more than 8,000 of them contesting. No, this is not the result we sent. You see how people were attacked in some polling units. You saw how people were asked to go back. There was pressure from every quarter. You see how some ethnic groups were profiled wrongly. Let me break it down. You saw how a certain people in Lagos were prevented from voting. What does that tell you? It tells you that, look, the election wasn't free and fair, and people have a right to contest it. The process was eminently flawed. It was eminently flawed,
All
and you
right.
don't need to go far to see that.
Okay. Well, Great Emo joins us also. Great Emo is also a social affairs commentator. Good morning to you, Great.
Good morning to you.
Thank you, Moses. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Even though I haven't seen you yet, but good to see you.
I just,
now, we hear that security has been beefed up at the courts, where the presidential petitions court security has been beefed up. What does that tell you? How does that even make you feel?
it's not only I'm right here in Abuja. It's not
Oh,
only the
fantastic.
presidential tribunal court. The entire city of Abuja is literally on a quasi lockdown. The entry and exit points of Abuja, there are military officers everywhere. There's no light anywhere here. As I'm talking to you, this phone might go off anytime.
But isn't that
And
due
we,
to the NLC strike?
the coincidences are not too interesting because it tells you everybody's on a blank out really. Uh, the people who work at the Federal High Court and all that judicial institutions we are told not to come to work. I think they just want to create some kind of dissonance. Yet you want to give judgment that everybody is expecting to see and everybody is hoping to have heard. The question is that when things are not right, I'm tired of trying to paint words, even though we are called social analysts. I like truth to be spoken, just to not just to individuals, but also to the nation, because the whole thing is creating a kind of a national dissonance. A lot of people are not sure what is going on. The strike and all of that things, they are too coincidental, and they shouldn't be at this moment.
Okay.
And the president was supposed to have G20 meeting
G20 meeting.
starting on the 9th, and he left Nigeria on the 4th. And with other major billionaires, if you go to the airport yesterday in Abuja, a lot of prominent characters were seen leaving Nigeria. There was something happening there. There's a sense of unease in this capital city. And even yesterday in the evening, I was sitting somewhere with a friend. He was like, everybody should be fast and let's go home and all that. That
There's
sense of
tension in the air.
is there. It's so unfortunate.
Okay, well, elder statesman, let me quickly ask you this. Elder statesman, Bode George, has expressed his concern about the courts determining who the winner of the elections should be. He has said there should be a rerun. What are your thoughts on a possible rerun?
Well, that I think it should be the irreducible minimum because
I didn't get
this
that. That should be what?
That should be the irreducible minimum outcome.
Okay.
Believe me, I want to be sincere with you, because some maybe 60, 70 years, depending those who are watching us are, some of us will not be here. But the things we say here today, the things we believe, the things we endorse, will be left behind as our thoughts and our beliefs, and will be archived as a pointer to the upcoming generation. Truth have died in Nigeria. How can you conduct an election where INEC cannot explain 18,000 polling units of result that it uploaded on IREV that was presented at the Election Precision Tribunal? You presented 18,000 polling units that the number of people registered in those polling units are literally above maybe 8 to 10 million. And then you can't explain. The umpire could not explain who voted what, who got what result in 18,000. Look at people are jumping up, ECOWAS, AU, and some other hypocrites jumping up, want to go to Niger to restore democracy. In a bloodless coup, you take election, over 80 people died. And some people were not even allowed to go and vote. And you say you're a democracy. We are still talking about in a country where, in the history of Nigeria, those who were labeled drug dealers and peddlers have been tied on a stake and shot dead before everybody, before the world. We are talking about people who have drug cases, and they argue whether it was forfeiture or not forfeiture, but in the case that the money in question was related to drug peddling. We are talking about people who have university certificates and never went, you can't see their primary education, and you can't explain whether it was from home to this thing. How can you have all these irregularities and everybody still pretending that we are normal? We're not. Let me be honest with you. It doesn't matter whoever wins or lose at the courts. Nigeria has been dented. I will tell you this thing. Nigeria is being morally being damaged, because very soon, armed robbers, I'm telling you, I'm a Christian, I'm not a perfect human being, but there are morals that are guiding me. I can't see those who have condemned Evans the kidnapper, condemned other drug peddlers, whether Nkurumiri and all of those, opening their mouth to want to make excuses for this kind of issues. For those who want to lead a nation, they don't have the moral rectitude, and don't individualize it. Don't individualize it. And here we're talking about people being prevented to vote in a national election on the basis of ethnicity. We are asking that people being starved because they want to exercise their franchise. And all of those things, we are sweeping them under the carpet, and we think it's normal. This is very unbecoming of us. We are gradually, breaking down the morals of this society. We are destroying the fabrics. And I don't know how long
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Great. Chukuma, I don't know if you can hear me. Good morning. So,
yeah, good morning.
yes, so former chieftain of PDP, Bode George, stated that the procedures used in the previous general elections in Nigeria, were shambolic. What do you have to say about that? And do you also believe in the judicial system of Nigeria currently to actually, deliver justice to us, so to speak? Because President Bola Tinubu, has been confident about his victory right from the word go. So what do you exactly expect from the judiciary, today?
Let me start from Chief Bode George. What Bode George said, let's be clear on it. Bode George is asking for fresh elections.
Exactly.
Not necessarily a rerun. You go for a rerun when you decide that the elections are inconclusive in certain areas. So you now conduct fresh elections to determine the winner in those areas and now come up with a final winner. That's not what Bode George is asking for. Bode George is saying, let us conduct fresh elections nationwide, even if you have to do it like 1 million times. And when I listened to him, I just laughed, because he's apparently trying to preempt the judgment of the court. And I asked Chief Bode George if he thought that the judgment would be in favor of Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of his party. Will he take this same position? Will he adopt this same position? Most likely not.
Okay, so you're thinking it's because he's already preempting the judgment. Is that why you think he's saying that?
No, yes, that's what my mind tells me.
Okay,
he's kind of preempting the judgment.
But great just said that's about. Okay.
And I asked if he knew or if he felt that the judgment will be in favor of Atiku, will he adopt the same position? And I asked the question before. Everybody is asking for justice. What is our definition of justice? We are speaking truth to authority. Everybody understands that there were encumbrances here and there. Like Imo said, we have somebody who is the president and he has question marks on his educational qualification, on his integrity as a person, on the process that even produced him. Now, some Nigerians are duly convinced, and they're even pushing it as a matter of principle in law. Look, that these things don't matter. And I always say it here, like, I'm a realist. People say that that justice is the will of the stronger party. When you go to court, a judge said, and he captured it very well, when you go to court, two parties are in a case. Both of them know the truth. It's actually the judge that is on trial. Everybody understands. But now, the emphasis and the burden on the court to tell us if the man actually given every other thing, including the 25% in Abuja. We will see today how the court will interpret that. We will see how the court will interpret double nomination. We will see how the court will interpret qualifications, pre-qualifications before election, and all of that. So, and like I said, people are coming from here. Moses, let me tell you, to the mind of many people, this judgment will not be fair if the Labour Party candidate is not declared winner. And to some, this judgment will not be fair if the APC candidate, the current president, his victory is not upheld by the court. So the judiciary has a burden of proof, and they have to convince Nigerians wholly about the essence of the decisions they come out with today. When we talk about the colleague asked me a question about how my assessment of the judicial process. Now, my assessment of it is this. The judicial process is laden with political pressures here and there.
Okay.
Let me explain that. When Obasanjo, was it Obasanjo's, yes, when Buhari lost the second time to Obasanjo, the Supreme Court, not formally, but from outside, people squealed that the Supreme Court said that they actually gave a political judgment to keep the country together. In their own assessment, the election was flawed. The person that was declared winner was not actually the winner. But they had to come up with a political judgment to keep the country together. Currently, President Bola Tinubu has made threats that if he's removed from office, that might be a call to anarchy. And everybody kept quiet. In 2011 and 2015, former President Buhari and El-Rufai said that foreign observers, if they are not careful, that they will go home in body bags. Nobody's career was damaged. Nobody was brought to justice, and everything just went on. Our democracy is on serial assault every other day. And we are building a political culture where it becomes difficult, like Imo said, for us to hold our heads high. In the next 60 years, historically, when our children look back and say, look, this is what our grandparents did. Justice to me has the you know the icon of justice when it is blind, but it's no longer blind in the sense that the woman that is holding the sword will now open her eyes somehow and look at one ethnic group. Now this ethnic group, they are likely to cause trouble if I don't give it to them. And it closes it again and opens and sees the other one. If I don't give it to them, they might cause trouble. That is not the way to go. We expect the judiciary to dispense justice the way it should be. If you ask me, I don't know the final points of the law, but it remains to be seen how today's judgment will either improve our democracy or return it.
Now that's exactly my next question, and I'll be moving this one over to Great Imo now. How today's judgment impacts our democracy going forward. Now we do know that tomorrow's history, what students will have to study in school tomorrow, will be, dependent on what happens today, what is happening today. And by today, I mean today and, the present. Now, in this dispensation of justice, we've had people allude to the fact that, the court might give a judgment so that there will not be chaos in the country. There will not be people will not go to the street. They might give a judgment that will keep the peace. Sometimes, like your colleague rightly just said, sometimes judgments are given that way, so the peace is retained. What do you make of that, really? Giving judgment to retain the peace, and what will tomorrow? How will the future adjudge that?
Well, I'm not, for example, I'm not a lawyer, but I did borrow course at the 100 level. We said that when you want to define law, there are two schools of thought. There are the moralists and the legalists. But what is very interesting about it is that both the moralists and the legalists, which is the legalists are held as the opinion holders in law, but the moralists are actually the background to law, because laws as a result of mores. And what are mores? What society abhors, what society respects, what society knows to be truth. Those things are morphed into legals. And when they are presented and become law, they become part of the judicial process. That is to say that the basis of law is morality. And put it this way, the basis of law is truth. And when it is encapsulated in law, it becomes
All right. Okay, we seem to be having a network problem with Great Network. I would so love to hear his conclusion on that question. But in the absence of that, okay. Sorry? Okay, please go on.
Are you listening to me?
Yes,
you hear
yes,
me?
Yes, I can hear you better now. Go ahead, please.
As a Nigerian sitting right here, I know that what happened on the 25th of February, or 24th, thereabout, is not a good legacy for Nigeria. My expectation was that the judicial part, the tribunal, it was supposed to be an expedition to find the truth. What should have been the truth? The variables to finding truth after an election is that in certain areas, some people did not even vote. In southern Borno, people were sitting somewhere, their electoral materials were hijacked. In some places, you saw results that are everywhere that what was shown on IREV were mutilated. How can INEC conduct election? And you are asking other Nigerians to come and prove that the results of the election were wrong or right. the judicial panel, the tribunal should be to present them with how to arrive at the result announced. Then those who came to complain should present them with the alternative views. And follow up to this is that if the numbers do not tally, and we went to street to know that there are some people who are supposed to vote, who did not vote, we find out why did they vote. Now we have gotten to a point, we are not even talking about pre-qualification issues. In fact, let me even surprise you. I was telling someone, I said, the law in this country permits somebody with literally ordinary primary C certificate to contest presidential election. Why are people forging certificates? The question we are fighting is not that somebody does not know how to speak English, because the ability to speak right is just making you literate, does not mean you are intelligent. We know we live in the world, because my knowledge of what education is, when I did my public relations course with Reading University, said is education is learning principles for solving human problems. But we are dealing with character issues in Nigeria.
All right then.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, we seem to be.
We have lost the connection.
Yes, we've lost that connection again.
Emo. Okay.
Well, I do believe that we still have Chukuma.
Is Chukuma still online? Okay. Chukuma, I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So what do you have to say about President Bola Tinubu's confidence of victory? You know, during the presidential campaign, he was keen on its, you know, the whole "it's my turn," you know, issue all around that. And, you know, and is it that there are some things the ordinary citizen is not seeing, you know, that makes him so confident, you know, about this tribunal verdict? What do you have to say? What do you think is behind this level of confidence?
The president, Nigerians see, but there's a difference between seeing something and being discerning about that thing that you saw. You know, you can see something and not actually understand what you have seen. The president understands Nigeria very well. He understands Nigeria's political culture. He understands the system very well. And that gives him the confidence that, look, come what may, I'm the real man for this. I'm the man on top of this. I'm not an idealist. I'm not an idealist. Because when Grade was talking about truth, what is the definition of truth? Truth according to who? Is it the objective truth? Is it the subjective truth? And who has the power to determine what you call the truth? See, every Nigerian, as far as we are concerned today, is in a very big fix. Is in a very strong bind. Hello, are you with me?
Yes, yes, we are. Go ahead.
Yes, and it is only the judiciary that can detangle the whole thing about truth, because they have been given the power. The power of the onus of proof is on those who have alleged, and it is left for the judiciary to determine what remains the truth based on the evidence before them. Your colleague asked me about the president's confidence, and I was saying that the president perfectly understands Nigeria. There is this Sir Ivor Jennings. He was an English political philosopher. He said, the people cannot speak until someone decides who the people are. It is reality. It is real. Even in advanced countries, even in advanced democracies.
The people cannot speak until we decide who the people are.
Yes. The people cannot speak until someone might be a group of people, decide who the people are. And that is what the president is lashing onto. He's very confident, and results are, the judgment is being delivered today. He jetted away day before yesterday, ahead of an event that is coming up like in a week before his departure. You know, and we saw how his proxy, the former Supreme Court Justice Mary Odele, went and in a book launch, made very unbecoming statements coming from a judge, a former justice of the High Court, saying that people have a right to feel, I can't remember exactly how she used it, but she was just saying that, look, if you have made so much noise about this thing, why don't you just relax and let there be peace, let there be calm in the nation? Coming from a former justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. So what more do you want people to understand about the confidence of the president?
Okay.
Look at what people like Bayo Ononuga, who made very irrelevant, very hurtful statements, attacking a whole ethnic group. And at the end of the day, he was rewarded with an appointment in the presidency. What do we make of that?
All right, then. Thank you. Let me move over to Great quickly. Great. Now, there's a thought on my mind now, and this is a thought on the minds of a lot of other Nigerians. All through when the petitions court started, Nigerians, the PDP, and some Nigerians wanted a live broadcast of the process, and Nigerians were denied that on a lot of grounds. Some people said it wasn't needed. All right, but now we are going to see a live broadcast of the verdict when we didn't see a live broadcast of the proceedings. Does this make any difference, really, having a live broadcast right now? Now, marry this. I'd like you to marry that to the fact that security has been beefed up at the premises of the court in Abuja. Why so?
Okay, let me start by telling you that whilst we are live on this program, my phone has been going off and on.
Apologies.
This has been for about 2-3 days. I can bet you that certain Nigerians are already tapped using algorithms. I started experiencing over a day or two ago, and I've made some inquiries. I tried to communicate with some certain guys because I wanted to know if it was a general issue. These were the plausible issues Nigeria is dealing with. The idea of transmitting this thing is because they don't want people physically on the street. They are blanking. These are all efforts to blank out Nigerians. They don't want the physical presence of Nigerians because there is no peace of mind. In this country, people keep machinating using all manner of what we call in local parlance abracadabra. You want to confuse, you want to diffuse, you want to deflect, you want to... These are off-ramp measures. The president leaving before time to India to go and be doing what the whole president of a country, G20 meeting, you are an invitee. We were supposed to come there on the 9th. You are already out. So many other people have jetted out of the country. There is no light in the city. Literally, there is no water. And it was announced prayer time. Then judicial officers were told not to come. Let me say this. These are all we know.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the president did say that he was going to have, on the side conversation with investors. Isn't that why he jetted out early so he could meet with supposed potential investors and try to convince them to come and invest in Nigeria? Don't you think so?
Well, investors, the president of Nigeria, a country that have ambassadors, a country that have ministers, a country as big as Nigeria, the president have to go and stay in one country for 4 days, say he's looking for investors. Please, they should stop insulting our sensibilities. Let me say this. There are other countries' presidents who are supposed to be officially there, who are members of G20. China President Xi Jinping is not going to be there. Putin is not going to be there. You are going to be looking for investors when investors should be looking for Nigeria. When investors should be hustling ministers, aces, and look at those businessmen you loaded on the plane, the artisans of this world who do not even have any notable factory in Nigeria. You are going to present them to Indians as investors. Is it because we are deceiving ourselves? Don't we know that people know who we are? We are living in a world where everybody knows each other. Who is producing what? Bankers, people who did round tripping to become big bankers after 2005 banking consolidation have become the model of investment in Nigeria. People that CBN gave waiver of almost $3 point something billion. Who else would you give that kind of rich. You think you go to India and you get those kind of things done? You can't. You go and pack the whole presidency and you kept the willful of that. At this my age, I have mates who are prime ministers. I have people who are older than who are prime ministers and presidents. I should be able to speak without fear nor favor to say, in the world where we live in, we owe this country a duty to speak truth to ourselves and to power. This is all shenanigans. These are off-ramp measures because you are afraid of what will happen. Well, we want Nigeria to remain in peace. Even the statement of retired justice, all these things they are not all coincidence. But let's be careful. Let's be careful. I think I remember in 2012, I wrote an article where I was warning the PDP elite that time. I said, one day you will be on the other side of the bargain and you may not find it funny. And today somebody is telling me about article going back and forth. They were the people that they held the aids. They were the ones in power. Today, what they did, the APC is doing worse. Those who are today clapping for what is going on in Nigeria, they may be on the other side of the bargain. And it may not be as funny as we are looking at it today because it's getting worse by the day. Let's speak not because of our individual interests. What is common interest there? Does a nation like ours grow under this kind of manipulative tendencies that are not even abating, rather is increasing? Let's remove the pictures, remove the names, remove the parties involved. The question is, what are the morals for which a democratic society should grow? We're not going to find it funny in future. Some of these things, in fact, we used to talk about law of karma. This will come to haunt people. How can we condemn kidnappers, condemn rapists, condemn drug barons? In this country, clap for soldiers when they shot drug barons in the 80s, and now we are here today to find a way to whitewash all these things and say it's okay. Our young people are watching us. They are watching us. Now we know that very soon, if you want to go and acquire guns, more weapons, more thugs, and grab it, snatch it, you run with it. Afterwards, you do whatever with the judiciary. And who knows who will die in the process? These are all my own challenge, and not about anybody. God in heaven knows. We should be careful in this country in absorbing nonsense because we don't know who will be a victim of it tomorrow. Look at the jail now. Everybody's crying democracy. Look at what is happening in many of these countries. From Ivory Coast, the shouting that we should go to war in Niger. He has squeezed the constitution of the country to remain in power. And tomorrow they come back to talk about democracy. Those who did it in Niger might have done it peacefully. We should be careful. We should be careful what we endorse and tolerate because we don't know who will be victim of it.
Indeed,
that is my concern.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Great. Chukuma, can you hear me, please? Okay. So today marked the 100th day, of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so what do you think would be the potential implication, if the judiciary announces a new president?
If the judiciary announces a new president, I'm sure President Ahmed Bola Tinubu will make an appeal. God. Remember that the tribunal is not the final arbiter as far as this case is concerned. He has 60 days to appeal to the Supreme Court, which is now the final arbiter. And like Falana did say, look, calm down, the case can still go up to the Supreme Court. So the implication is that Nigeria will move on for the next and wait for what will happen in the next 60 days. Unfortunately, his 100 days in office is not inspired. It's not inspiring. It's been 100 days of trial and error, 100 days of policy mismatch, 100 days of not knowing what to do. Nigerians, in just 3 months, in just 100 days, Nigerians are in a deeper mess than they were 8 years ago. That's the reality. In a deeper mess than we were 8 years ago in just 3 months.
All right, I think we have a glitch in the network there. I do hope that can be rectified very, very quickly so we can continue with Chukwuma's thoughts there. And, well, we still have, well, great. Is Great in the house?
I'm here.
All right, great. Let me quickly ask you this question now. In the event of a rerun, some Nigerians are tinkering with the idea that if this is where the court goes, if this is the verdict, then it shouldn't be the same people sitting in INEC that should conduct the election. It shouldn't be the same INEC chairman that should conduct a rerun if there be a rerun. What do you make of that? If that is even done, will that change anything? Seeing that the president will still be the person to appoint an INEC chairman.
That is actually the case because the president is the appointing officer by law. So even if you demand, there's a demand for a new INEC chairman. By the way, he has his office is tenant. There is I think it's 5 years or thereabout. So he's in his second tenure right now, and may likely finish. But whereby by for any reason it's not that, it's still the president that will appoint. I think what has changed, what was the challenge, was the man not following up on the processes that were laid down. With whether it is a man, a woman, a Mahmoud or not a Mahmoud. The problem all the argument is about the rule of law, is about procedure. There is Electoral Act 2022, which is the law. For example, I'm still amazed that that law that prohibits people, anybody from buying two forms, I think about section 154, that prohibits anybody to contest for two electoral positions in one election cycle. We had the former Senate president, we had Dave Umahi, we had the former Cross River State governor. They all picked up forms for primaries of the presidential election of their party and actually went ahead all the way to the primaries. And there's no way, based on that 2022 electoral law, that they could have been aspirants both for presidential election and senatorial election, because the law prohibits it. Section 154 or thereabout, subsection, whichever subsection it was, I can't quote exactly, they prohibit these characters from contesting for two offices in one election cycle. But they did, to the extent that these people never appeared at the grounds of the primaries for senatorial elections, but these people were given tickets against this 2022 Electoral Act. So whoever be in that office, what we are asking for is the rules of engagement. The constitution of the country is the covenant, even upon which God and the spirit and the universe can judge ourselves between ourselves. Whether they are right or wrong, this is what is already stated in this law. Without following it, be you a Christian or a Muslim, you are going against the universe, because this is the covenant upon which this nation is run and governed. Okay. Why should we go against it in order to favor individuals? These three people I've mentioned, for example, who contested the primaries, we are not even on the ballot for primaries for their senatorial election. Some people's name had even been forwarded. Lawan, to be precise, Dave Umahi again, and all of these people from nowhere became senatorial candidates of their party. And we are joking, we are laughing, we think it's normal.
All right then.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
I am really, if some people, I don't know how people think about Nigeria. Sometimes I'm ashamed of this country. Something that is because even before the court, there are canons of interpretation. One of them is called literary interpretation. There is the golden rule. Under the golden rule, it is what is the spirit of the law intended. Then golden rule, what is the literary rule? Written black and white. You cannot contest for two positions in one election cycle. Lawan is there. Dave Umar is there. The other professor of deception who was ruling Cross River was there. All of them contested for presidential primaries and came back and became senatorial candidates, and we are sitting here. So whoever that will sit wherever on INEC at any level, what is the rule of engagement? If we refuse to follow those rules of engagement, Nigeria will soon run into trouble. I hope those who are supporting this evil, when it comes back hunting them, because anyway, karma is, I don't want to use the word that is normally used. It will always come back to us.
Please don't. Please don't. And we pray that things don't go from bad to worse. We pray we don't, I mean, nobody is asking for chaos or war. Anyway, great, and Chukwuma, we'll have to move away from this topic. But still looking at the judiciary, the court has kicked against Kwankwaso's expulsion as former national chairman. All right. Now, this is a conversation that we will delve into when we come back. So please stay with us, gentlemen. We'll be back in a short while.